So honestly, some of the best moments in my life, like the greatest moments in my life, were playing video games. Like I don't play video games anymore. I have zero interest to play them. But some of the best moments in my life were actually playing video games. Like when I was in high school back in like 2017 and earlier, I would literally like run home, rush home to get onto my computer, open Steam, get onto Discord with my boys and play Counter-Strike. Like Counter-Strike was insanely hype. It was like some of the best moments of my life. I'm not even kidding. Like, okay, so Counter-Strike Global Offensive, Counter-Strike is like this shooting game, this first-person shooter game. I don't know if you've ever heard of it. But basically it's 5v5, right? 5 guys versus 5 guys. It'll be me and my 4 boys versus 5 enemies. And sometimes it would get to a situation where all your teammates would die and it would just be you versus 5 guys. And you know, my friends would be in the group chat, they'd be like screaming like, dude, just kill yourself, you know, let's get on to the next round, just end this. And of course I wouldn't listen to them because I would want to win this 1v5 situation. It was like a hero moment. I wanted to win. So I would ignore them and I would go out there and do 1v5. And sometimes I would win. Like when I killed 4 guys and it was down to 1v1 and I would finally kill that last guy, my teammates in the group chat would go crazy. They'd go berserk. They'd be like, oh my goodness. You know, they'd be screaming because I've just won this, clutched this 1v5. You know, it's some of the biggest adrenaline rushes of my entire life. It was insane, so hyped. There were so many moments like that every single day when playing video games. So video games are literally the most hyped moments in real life. Like, I would be like, I'd have my voice, I'd have my headphones on, and I'd literally be screaming into the headphones. My dad would be able to hear me downstairs. My friends' parents would be able to hear me through their laptop. You know, I'd be screaming like, oh, rush B, rush B, rush B. Like playing video games, time just disappears. It's just so fun. You know, it's literally peak life. But here's the thing. Right now, I no longer have any interest to play video games. So that's what I'm going to talk about in this video. Because I do think video games have a dark side. Because here's the thing. Video games are peak life. They really are. They're amazing. They're so good. But you know what else is peak life? Heroin. So, okay, don't click off yet. This is going to seem weird. I'm making this connection between heroin and video games. But here's the thing. If your life sucks, you know, if you play video games and you consider video games to be peak life, it's not that video games are so amazing and life sucks. It's that life sucks because you're playing video games. Let me explain. You're going to want to click off. You're going to think this is bullshit. But here's the thing. You're addicted to video games. It's that simple. If your real life sucks and you play video games, you are addicted. Because here's the definition of addiction that I heard. Addiction is a gradual narrowing of the things that bring you pleasure. So if over time, less and less things bring you pleasure, then you're addicted. So if video games are the only thing in your life that bring you pleasure, then you're actually addicted to video games. It's that simple. I want you to imagine a heroin addict. A heroin addict, the only thing that brings him pleasure is heroin. Social connections no longer bring him pleasure. You know, watching TV no longer brings him pleasure. His work no longer brings him pleasure. The only thing that brings the heroin addict pleasure is doing heroin. So this is the problem. For a heroin addict, it's not like the real world sucks, right? It's not like the real world sucks and heroin is the only good thing in the world. It's the other way around. The real world sucks because he's doing heroin. It's the same thing with video games. The real world doesn't suck, you know, and video games are the best thing in the world. It's that real life sucks because you're playing video games. Because here's the thing. Real life cannot compete with video games. How can your day of going to school and going to sports and, you know, talking to your family, how can that compare to a 5v1 clutch in Counter-Strike? How can that compare to playing Minecraft Hunger Games where you're literally like surviving and fighting against 100 guys? Real life cannot compare with that. Just like how real life cannot compare with the high of heroin. You try to quit video games, right? And you go out into the real world. But you realize the real world sucks. So you go back to the video games. But here's the problem. As you spend more time in the video games, your life starts getting worse and worse and worse. So you spend more time in the video games because life sucks. But then over time your life gets worse and worse and worse. So the video games become more and more attractive. So it's even harder to quit the video games. It's like, okay, back to the heroin addict example. You know, someone's addicted to heroin. After 2 months of doing heroin, they've lost their friends. After 3 months of doing heroin, they've lost their job. After 6 months of doing heroin, they've lost their house. After a year of doing heroin, they've lost their wife. Their wife leaves them. So as this heroin addict gets more and more into heroin, his life gets worse and worse and worse. So it becomes even harder to quit. You know, if in a year that heroin addict wanted to quit, life would be so bad in comparison that heroin would seem way more attractive. It's the same thing with video games. After thousands of hours in these video games, your social life gets worse, your health gets worse, your grades get worse. And so the real life becomes even less attractive, so it becomes even harder to quit video games. Because here's the thing, video games are satisfying this need that we have. We have this need to make progress in our life, to like achieve things, and to feel kind of a sense of power. And video games give us this. They make us feel amazing. Like in Battlefield, I was a professional helicopter pilot. In Rocket League, I was a professional soccer player. In Team Fortress 2, I was a professional medic. Bro, you're getting all these real life achievements very easily. And that's what we actually want. We actually want these achievements. So if you actually want to quit video games, you need to get that sense of achievement in the real world. That's the first thing. The second thing, if you want to quit video games, is you need to have some long-term thinking. Because right now you're going to stop playing video games, you're going to step out into the real world, and you're going to be like, damn, my life sucks, I'm going to go back to video games. But you need to have hope. You need to have belief that life can get better. You know, right now life might suck. You might have nothing. You might have no friends. You might have terrible health. You might be overweight. I don't know. But you need to have belief that this is just temporary. This is just now. Over time, you can do anything you want. You can achieve anything you want. You need to have that dissatisfaction because that's what pushes you. Rich people, right? Most rich people, they started off broke, right? Not most, but many. Many jacked people started off skinny, started off obese. Why is that? Because they were so dissatisfied with their life that it pushed them to achieve these big things. This is the exact same thing with you. You're so dissatisfied with your life. That's what's going to push you to achieve big things. So you have to accept that that feeling of dissatisfaction is expected. Now I'll leave you on one more thing. You might feel like you've wasted, thousands of hours. Like me, I've probably spent about 10,000 hours altogether in these video games. You might feel like you've wasted all this time. Like for example, for me, I have about 500 hours in GTA 5, and I played GTA 5 on this shitty camping chair. So I was kind of hunched over playing GTA 5 for 500 hours, and it fucked my back. Like I have bad posture even now because of GTA 5. So you might have, I've lost vision. Bro, my arm goes numb a lot of the time because of all the time I spent playing Counter-Strike. You might feel like you've wasted so much things in your life because of these video games. But here's the thing. There are probably many other people in your class who have wasted their time doing other things. Many people are addicted to TikTok and they spend just as much time as you do on video games on TikTok. Some people, they might be going out partying all the time, doing drugs. They might seem like they're better off because they're getting girls or they have friends or whatever, but their health is also getting worse in the long run. They're not working on anything in their life. Their life is just getting worse and worse and worse. So what I would say is Gen Z, honestly, most of Gen Z is fucked up in their own way. So just because you're that video gamer nerd who wasted thousands of hours in video games, other people have wasted thousands of hours on other things. Now, I'm not trying to say this as some kind of thing where it's like, oh, it's okay to suck, bro. It's okay to be terrible. But, what I'm trying to say is just have some hope. Everyone is kind of like disadvantaged in different ways. Like those people who always went out partying, every weekend, they might have a better social life than you. But when it comes to, say, for example, making progress in their life, they're worse off. Because, bro, if you play video games and you're addicted to video games, you probably have this personality, like I do, where you want to make progress in your life. You want to achieve things. You want to level up. So you've probably got an advantage on that side of things. Your social life might be worse, but you can work on that. You've already got an advantage when it comes to making progress in your life. So you might not be as bad off as you think. You might actually have that unfair advantage in some area that you don't realize. So I hope that gave you some hope that there is more to life than just video games. And you can 100% reach a point where life is way better than any video game. Like I have a gaming PC right here, this is my gaming PC. And so literally within 5 minutes, I could turn on this PC and be playing Rocket League within 5 minutes. But I never get the thought to do it because I have zero interest now. Because I'd rather be doing things in the real world. I'd rather be making progress on this YouTube channel. I'd rather be studying. I'd rather be reading. I'd rather be exercising, socializing, doing things like that. So bro, let this video be hope for you. There's hope. That's it. See you later.